Welcome back, guys. Game number 2 today between ATN Socke and the Little One. We did see last game the Little One managing to pull out a victory in a quick third expo, giving him enough resources to defend against an early push from Socke and then move out with a counterattack. Absolutely devastating. One big blunder, unfortunately, for Socke was that he didn't actually move to scout out that possible third of the Little One. Had he scouted it with the attack force that he pushed out against the natural expo of the Little One, he could have actually just taken out that third very quickly. And if he had done that and then moved into the natural, then the Little One probably actually wouldn't have had enough resources to be able to make enough units to defend himself. And that was a pretty deciding point in the game. We are seeing here this game the Little One again going for that short depot placement, pulling off of mining for as little time as possible, as I mentioned in the last game. And again, as a Terran player, you should pretty much do this in most cases against Terran and Protoss opponents. Zerg, obviously, it would be a pretty wise decision to use that depot to wall off. You do see some of the pro players not bother with the depot to the wall off just because it's obviously a much structurally it's much less it's smaller. No, it's a lot less able to actually defend. It's just it's a big weak point in a wall. So some professional players you'll see just go for these main bulky buildings as some sort of a wall off against a Zerg opponent. But I would say your average player on the ladder going to be a really smart idea to use those depots for the wall off, especially defending yourself against early game aggression. With that said, though, keep in mind that especially nowadays, the way the maps are structured and just the way the game has been continuing to evolve, you're seeing a lot less early aggression from Zerg players even. You're seeing much, you don't see, I mean, I don't know, maybe some of you guys do, but I don't ever see 6 pulls anymore. It just doesn't seem to take place nearly as often as it used to. But anyways, there's not even a friggin' Zerg in this game, so what the hell am I talking about? Moving out right now, we can see Socke moving on in, getting a scout there. Here comes that Marine from the Little One, and that, of course, is going to shoot the probe here of Socke out of the base. He does not want to lose that unnecessarily. We are going to see the Little One move on down and actually scouting in the incorrect position. Unfortunately, he is likely to move to this position next, so he's going to be scouting Socke dead last. And actually, unfortunately for him, I think by the time he actually gets to Socke base, given the size of this map, that first stalker will be out, and he won't actually be able to move in to get any scouting information. Socke still just on the one assimilator, not getting a second one yet, so he may be going for a fast expansion. That's quite a possibility. We're going to have to wait to see until that Cyberdex core comes out, but a lot of times you will expect that second assimilator by this point in the game. Taking a look over here, the Little One looks like he is not going to be going for that same quick expo that he did last game. We can see coming out that reactor. I do honestly, though, I'm almost expecting a 2 racks expand. In all honesty now. We can see he pulled one guy off the gas, just mining with those 2. And here's something else that a lot of players do. Oh, Probe trying to sneak on in, but not going to get away from that second Marine. Got very close. Did he see that reactor building, though? I think he may have. Yes, he did. He saw that reactor building, and that's actually really good for him. The reason I'm almost expecting an expo is because a lot of times you'll see Terran players, when they're opening up with this, they'll just go Marine heavy, use a couple bunkers, and then expand. And look at that. There's that bunker, so expo is going to be coming very shortly here for the Little One. Taking a look over here for Socke. Socke chrono boosting out that warp gate research. Got 1 and a second gateway coming out here as well. And is he going to go for a 4th? Is he going to 4-gate? No, it looks like he's not. So we're going to be going for just a 3-gate expand. That is good as well, but it could very well be behind the Little One's expansion. We'll have to take a look at the timing. The Little One's still churning out those Marines, very low on resources. And there is another barracks right now. And actually, no, never mind. He is going for a 3 racks, in fact. So he's not going to be going for a fast expansion. Being on the 1 gas is all he needs. This is it's interesting because this is a alternate build to the 3 racks than I'm used to seeing. I've seen this done before, but not quite as often. Usually with the 3 racks, it's just a little bit of a different variation, but going Marine heavy with this early game bunker is actually going to allow him in the long run to turn out a lot more units, and that's very interesting. I actually really like this style. I might have to try it myself in some of my games. A couple units here spotting the outside of the Little One's base. Probably going to want to push in just to test the front waters at some point. Actually, Socke going to be looking to be aggressive early on. So he's going to be going for a 3-gate early game aggression and then going to be getting that expo. And here comes that expo right now. Probe is going to be dropping that right now. We are seeing the churning out of those units. There's that 1 proxy pylon like I mentioned. That's why I'm almost expecting at least some sort of tentative push here. Now, this is actually a little bit dangerous because we can see the Little One, obviously, as mentioned, he's going for a 3 racks build. What does that mean? Heavy Bile, heavy Marine, heavy Marauder. Pretty much heavy Marine, though, in this particular instance. But a very heavy Marine build, and he's going to be moving out. Did he actually bother going for those upgrades? No, he did not. Just getting that concussive shell, not bothering for that stim pack. Big killer for Terran players was that increased time on the stim pack research time. 170 seconds is so very long, and you can no longer actually get to a Protoss player's base before that warp gate research finishes. Little one needs to be careful being chased by a couple units here. Marauders are actually going to help push this back quite a bit. These two poor Marines and Marauders going to get dropped, though, without stim pack. So devastating. And look at this. Lots of Marines, and this is a little bit of a problem without this stim pack. I'm sorry, lots of Zealots. Without that stim pack, he's going to have a much harder time cutting it. He can only stop for so long. He doesn't have enough Marauders for that concussive shell to be wholly effective against those Zealots. And so he's going to just target fire down the other units and then trying to work on those Zealots, but he's still going to be taking a few shots whenever he does stop. More warped in Stalkers. Just needs to be careful, though, about getting cut off. And again, the little one needs to be very careful. He does not want those Zealots to catch up. Zealots getting very close, chopping down a couple of those Marines. Look at them fall to pieces. Still dealing with the units other than the Zealots, and then finally going to start to work on the Zealots. Wants to try to split up his units, but he does not have enough. It's so unbelievable without that stim pack how hard of a time Marines and Marauders actually have against Zealots. And like I mentioned, since he wasn't very Marine heavy, since he wasn't very Marauder heavy, he didn't have enough concussive shells to actually slow down those Zealots properly, and it looks like unbelievably so. The little one got all of his units mopped up, so very nice there from Socke. Socke is going to be in a tremendous position. He has got this expo up and running right now. He's only been churning out of these 3 gateways, and this is really, really good. Now we can see the little one. It looks like he's actually going to have enough right now to deal with what Socke does have here in the middle. Should be dropping those Zealots very quickly, spreading him out very thin, though. Needs to be very, very careful about where he's engaging with his units, and again, needs to be careful. Some really nice micro here from the little one, doing everything that he can basically to stay away from those Zealots. And the little one, he is just going to keep it up. He has got that 3 racks coming. Socke needs to be very careful. This could really hurt him quite a bit. Taking a quick look at the army tab, 23 as opposed to the 10 supply. We do have this expo coming out here as well, but what really needs to happen right now is the little one needs to do a bunch of damage in this attack and try to kill at least some workers. If he can even take out this expo, would be really nice. Still no stim pack. It hasn't been researched here, so these units aren't nearly as effective as they could otherwise be. He's pretty much just going to rely on the move, shoot, micro, pulling his units back and then attacking with them to try to stay out of the range of those Zealots as much as possible. Going to be target firing down those Stalkers. And yes, there we go. Finally getting down those Stalkers. Moving on in. Going to get down this Stalker as well. And then finally dealing with the Zealots. And this is exactly what the little one needs to do. He needs to do some damage. But pushing up with those probes. And that's actually quite a bit of a danger here. Without that stim pack, especially, those probes can get us around and stop them and let those Zealots catch up. But no, he was managed to target fire down those Zealots and was able to take them out just enough and force those probes to push back. And he's actually going to be able to start working on these probes right now. Got a few Stalkers coming in, some additional reinforcements moving down for the little one. Again, forced to push down with those probes, but here are these reinforcements, and this is actually going to be a lot for Socke to deal with. He's going to need to pull down with more probes than this, or he needs some more warped in units. There we go. We have got a couple Zealots as well as a couple Stalkers warped in, and the little one just continuing to harass here. Absolutely unbelievable the amount of pressure and aggression that he's putting up against Socke, and all of this, again, without stim pack. 10 minutes in the game, still no stim pack. We are seeing nothing but micro battles with these Marines and Marauders. That concussive shell obviously helps a bit, but that stim pack would be so much better. Finally, enough Stalkers here from Socke to mop this up. There are some reinforcements, but I don't think it's enough for the little one. The little one would probably actually be pretty well advised to push back. He may just want to keep up that aggression just to keep that pressure constant, basically keep his fingers on the pulse here of everything that Socke is doing. Socke actually trying to look out trying to look to push out. He's not going to be able to move in at all, especially with this bunker here and just these few Marauders guarding the front, but at least checking and seeing if there are any reinforcements being streamed in. And look at this, the 2 Marines and Marauders hiding up top, going to be moving down right into the expo and actually going to be getting a couple free kills here from these workers as the main army of Socke is across the map right there sitting in the middle. And this is all too hilarious in all honesty. Finally a Stalker coming down, going to be moving down to try to get us around here as well, and it looks like the little one's just going to be trying to kill off as many of these as he can. He should be able to get a couple more probes. Maybe just this one. Does he get it? Yes, he does. And there you have it. So those 2 little sneaky, the 1 Marine and Marauder hiding up here, we're able to push out as soon as this main force of Socke moved away. But Socke, hey, buddy, you cannot engage that. You do not have enough units. These 2 bunkers here, and very Marauder heavy as well, trying to drop a force field to catch a couple of guys out of position, but didn't manage to do so there. So the little one doing lots of damage. Let's take a look here at the units killed. We do have 40 units killed for Socke, but 45 for the little one, and 19 of which were workers. That's a big issue there. Taking a look at the worker count, we do have 40 as opposed to the 44. Now, you might say, well, why does Socke have so many more considering the little one has killed so much? Oh, I didn't want to put that up. Well, the whole reason is simply because of the fact that that he's been spending so many more resources on it, and this has allowed the little one instead to make army units, and yeah, there you have it. As you can see, there is a advantage there for the little one as a result. So yes, the little one is in a good position right now, gonna have no problem defending himself, killing so many workers here from Socke, but Socke actually gonna be trying to make up for that deficit, the fact that he's lost 19 workers, by trying to come up with this expo, try to get that saturated there and try to basically catch up to where the little one's gonna be, given the fact that he hasn't taken pretty much any economic loss whatsoever. Taking a look at the production building composition here, pretty barracks heavy. We do have that, of course, that starport with that reactor pumping out those double medevacs right now, and a level 1 upgrade coming out for the armor. Already got that range level 1, and it looks like here we go. The little one's going to be moving into his third as well. And is he going to really try to go for a fourth? I think he might. Wow, going to be moving on down, and it looks like Socke's going to be trying to get a fourth, and this could be quite dangerous. Again, this is one of those positions where you got to make sure you scout your opponent. The little one really needs to find out the fact that there is that fourth, and this is very, very sneaky here by Socke, because if Socke can keep that up without getting scouted, we're basically going to see a reverse of what we saw last game with the little one being at that disadvantage because he doesn't have as many bases. So yes, those rocks are gone. I'm expecting that base to get dropped down at some point in the not too distant future. Right now, though, Socke does want to make sure he can defend himself. He did have that observer moving across, and he did see this army moving towards his base. Do we have a ghost in there? No, we don't. I thought I saw a ghost for a moment. One Marauder going to be moving forward and just poking and prodding, just wants to check what's going on. Stimpack just started researching. I'm very surprised he does not want to engage this army here with this Colossus without Stimpack. This is very, very dangerous right now. Yeah, it's just not the wisest decision. But actually, he could drop and do quite a bit of damage, and I really like the fact that he's doing that, taking full advantage of the versatility here of these medevacs. Not just used to heal up your units, but of course used to do some dropping action as well. And he's going to take off this pylon. I think he's expecting an expo to be there, but it is of course not. And so just going to get that free pylon kill, and the unit's forced back. And again, without the Stimpack, cannot adequately run away from that Colossus fire. And that thermal lance, once that comes into play as well, it's going to be very, very dangerous for him to try to engage without that Stimpack. Pulling on down with these medevacs, actually going to be trying to look to drop here at the natural. Need to be very careful about where he engages with that, though, because we do have the entire army here of Socke, and Socke fully spotting that. It's going to force the little one to push back. He's actually dropping over here. What is he doing? He is just constantly moving back and forth with these guys, picking them up and dropping them down. Taking a look across the board, not seeing a lot. Oh, and actually he needs to be careful. Going to get these medevacs sniped down, trying to drop as many as he can. Did end up losing a few units in that one medevac. Going to be warping in a ton of zealots, and that's going to help him deal with this. Actually, the little one is in a lot of trouble. He's going to be losing everything right here. Medevac goes down. All those Marines and Marauders go down. We do have a couple more guys chilling out over here, but that is not enough, and that was actually a big victory there for Socke. He pretty much got a bunch of free kills there without taking much for losses, so very, very nice for Socke. The little one's definitely going to have to work to overcome that loss that he did have in that particular engagement. We do have an armory up, so we're going to be seeing some higher level upgrades here from the little one, just continuing to pump out these Marines and Marauders. Another barracks even coming down since he has got this third base started right here. I don't know if he's actually going to bother getting a fifth refinery right now. He's got 2 refineries at the main and the natural. Doesn't really need a fifth quite as of yet, given the fact what his unit composition is basically. Marine and Marauder main heavy build. You don't really need to get so many refineries, but he is actually going to be coming out with at least one more. I don't expect that one to get dropped down. Just don't make me look like a fool, the little one, please. I'm trying to do some commentary here. Observer moving on through. Is he on patrol? No, he's just on a regular move pattern. Going to be moving into the base and getting some scouting done. We're also having a couple guys going throughout the base, checking for possible expos. Now, this is what I was talking about. We can see Socke has had this third up for quite some time. There is that fourth trying to get placed down, but in all honesty, for all the little one knows, this is the third just now coming up because he still has not scouted this expo over here. So he really needs to figure out that that's there so he can do something about it. I mean, this would be so easy to take out. You take a couple medevacs filled with Marines and Marauders, you drop on there, and see you later, sayonara. It's just such a long rush distance for those ground units. Besides those Colossus, everything has to run all the way around there, and by the time they get there, you'd probably take out the base. But it's all about the knowledge, and that's the main thing. When you play this game, you just really got to make sure you've got a good idea of what your opponent's doing. And never, although people make assumptions based on the situation or what's likely to happen, you never want that to be your sole means of information, that just an assumption of what could be happening. You always got to want to make sure you want to get those visual confirmations of what is going on. Take a look quickly at the army tab right now. Both players pretty much about even. It's what you would expect. We do have that charge research coming out. Those charge zealots, of course, going to be very effective. Also, a ton of upgrades coming here. Ground level 2 as well as armor 2 coming out for Socke. And Socke, a lot of gateways right here. It is coming out with a second robo here as well. So going to be using that to churn out a few more Colossus. Where's that first one? Is that really a second one? Yes, it is. There's the first one. There's the second one. So he's going to be able to pump out a few more Colossus. And that's also going to allow him to much more easily make a transition into Marauders in case he has to later down the game, being very Immortals later down the game, because the little one may be very Marauder heavy, and if he gets a ton of Vikings to deal with those Colossus, you switch to Immortals to deal with those Marauders, and you were pretty much sitting pretty right there. And a couple Marauders here in this medevac managed to spot that proxy pylon, dropping that very, very quickly. units sitting out front here for Socke as well. He does have his Colossus moving across the map, trying to check for any basically units that are stragglers just hanging around in the middle, making sure he can gain control of all those El Naga towers, because he does basically have the predominant force here in the middle. The small group of Marauders is not going to be enough to actually deal with this big army. Nice scan going down, getting a full vision of everything that Socke does in fact have. Are we seeing any drops or anything? No, nothing like that's going on, but we are seeing a big push, very Viking heavy, lots of Marines and Marauders here, as well as a couple of medevacs. So the little one going to be pushing out right now and being very aggressive, and we definitely need to see Socke be careful with those Colossus. He doesn't want to get caught off guard by those Vikings. That would be very dangerous for him indeed. He does have 5 Colossus right now, just needs to be careful about how he engages. And actually a couple of Marauders sniping down one lone Colossus sitting in the middle. That was actually not good at all for Socke. Something else to keep in mind, take a look up here. We can see that Templar Archives coming out right now for Socke, and that's a nice transition as well, besides going from Colossus Heavy into Mortals. But oh, it needs to be, look at that, sniping down 2. I think he got 1 or 2 there, and that was very nice. Needs to be, why is he engaging all of these range units? So that's pretty much the last thing you want to do. Marines and Marauders going to be trying to take down this Expo. Yes, they are. Now he's going to push back right now. Force field's a little bit late though, and we actually, the little one is able to push back, and that was really nice. That's precisely what the little one needs to do, and I would really love to see him do that with this Expo, but again, he doesn't know about it. Going to be actually moving into that natural, trying to move in the other side, and then pushing. He's going to go for a little bit of a sandwich action here, using these guys to target down the units on the backside, and then pushing in the other side, and this is a little dangerous right now. Those charged zealots mopping up all of that bio over there, and the little one, unfortunately, that didn't work quite the way he would have liked, but still did do a little bit of damage. Look at that. We do have a couple DT in play here as well. So Socke going to be taking advantage of that. That's going to actually force the little one to save a lot of his energy for scans, because he doesn't have a Raven in play, and I don't think he's going to be coming out with one here either. So he's going to have to save that energy on his orbital commands to drop scans just to deal with those DT. Those DT can be so frustrating otherwise. Where we got one spotting the possible Expo over here. Other one's going to actually be moving into the main. Now, there is that turret there, so that's going to help him a little bit. The main thing is that during those engagements, he's going to have to save that scan. He can defend his base, of course, with those turrets, giving him that vision. But during engagements, he's going to be forced to save some scan. We do have actually Terran ship level 2 coming out, making those Vikings much more effective against those Colossus. But look at this transition that is coming. We do have Psionic Storm researching right now for Socke. So Socke is fully prepared to switch up to High Templar. Now something to keep in mind is that with that change of no longer there's a Khydarian amulet to give your Templars that extra energy. You actually have to kind of preload them and get them to save up energy beforehand. Force field's going down. Going to use them to snipe down these Vikings. There are so many Vikings, though. They're actually going to work here on those Colossus, and another force field wall, allowing the units here to try to deal with this as much as possible, but this is unbelievable. He just lost so many Colossus there to that Viking sniping. Very nice play there by the little one, trying to catch those guys out of position. I really like those force fields that were coming down as well for Socke to try to defend against it, but it wasn't enough. You can see he has been forced to push back. The one Viking still going on pursuit here, going to be pushing back to join the rest of his buddies over here. The little one just absolutely relentless, though, with this Expo sniping, trying to move down. Is he going to get this in time? I don't think so. It looks like the units are within range right now, and Socke is going to be able to fend this off, and he needs to be very careful. The little one does not want to lose all of his army right here. He did manage to snipe down another Colossus, though, unbelievably so. This Colossus sniping has been very intense, and actually we are seeing continual Colossus production from our buddy Socke here. He isn't actually making that transition to High Templar quite yet. Now, before that big battle didn't take place, what I was trying to basically say to you guys, what I was trying to sputter out, was that you need to preload these High Templar now. You can't just warp them in and drop storms anymore. And that's making Protoss players be much more prepared for battles and prepared for this transition, as opposed to kind of doing it on a whim. Because beforehand, you could just get a Templar Archives, you could research that Khydarian amulet, and you could research that storm. And then whenever you pushed out for an attack, if you had a proxy pylon, you could just warp in High Templar as you needed them. If you saw he was Viking heavy and you decided you needed a lot of High Templar, you could just do it. But now, if you warp it in, they're not going to be able to storm right away, and it's not nearly as effective. And look at this, we are going to be seeing a drop from the little one finally. I haven't really seen much of these this game. Also going to be dropping the Expos, but first going straight into the main to try to distract the forces, and then here we go, that drop of the Expos actually able to snipe that down. And we are seeing a large force from Socke, but where exactly is he going? We do have these small medevacs trying to move into this possible base, and he's actually just trying to cut that off, but that's not good because he's losing this third right here as a result to try to pull all of his army to deal with this small group of medevacs. It is a lot of medevacs, but still, Nothing compared to actually losing an Expo, and unfortunately right now for Socke, he's just spread a little too thin. We still do have some DT on the board, not doing a whole lot right now, just kind of moving around. We do have that one scouting guy over there, but that is unbelievable. That really effective there. Still guys here, and actually going to be target firing down this Dark Shrine. Wants to get rid of that. At the same time, moving to this Expo as well. So much dropping action going on here for the Little One. Little One needs to make sure he's target firing down some of these production buildings. That's exactly what he's doing, dropping these warp gates very quickly. He might actually get this Dark Shrine. Lots of zealots charging on it at the same time. We do have this force of units actually getting mopped up. Unfortunately, the Little One not able to micro those guys away. There we go, finally grabbing them, finally paying enough attention, and he does drop the Dark Shrine as well. Unbelievable play here by the Little One, just hitting at multiple fronts. He just dropped so many Expos. He didn't actually take out this Expo yet, but he has done quite a bit of damage. He managed to take out this Expo though with that diversion tactics. Going to see another drop going in the main and going to continue up this harassment. At the same time, pushing up the front, we get some Banshees in play here as well. Big storms going down on this Bi army. This is going to be a quick kill here for Socke. He's going to have no problem dealing with these frontal units, but again, at the same time, he's got drops inside of his main base. No longer a task force over here. They were in fact picked up. He didn't want to engage this large amount of units, but this is unbelievable, the amount of harassment. Storm finally taking out those Banshees. I'm really loving this play from the Little One. A couple of guys just chilling out over here. There we go, finally stimming them up and engaging them. And this harassment just continuous and non-stop. We'd have a Dark Templar going to be stopping the landing of this Expo, and the Little One's going to want to make sure he takes care of that so we can actually get that Expo up. This Expo is up for Socke. Obviously nothing going on over here though, and look at this, just so much work being done by these Marauders. Do work, son, do work. Just absolutely unbelievable. The Little One's so very effective at micromanagement in multiple positions. He's able to drop and harass at multiple angles at once. Makes it a little difficult to commentate, but definitely exciting to watch, I would have to say. We can see a big force moving across the board right now for the Little One, finally getting that Raven in play, going to allow him to properly deal with those DT. It's also going to, of course, there we go, finally scan going down. We're going to drop down this guy very quickly, please. There we go, and going to allow him to drop down that Expo. So here comes that force from the Little One, going to be pushing on into this Expo. And look at that air fleet, so many Banshees here. Wants to make sure he cloaks them, but my gosh, getting so many feedbacks there. Feedback also going down on that Raven, taking that down quickly. Bio Ball, though, should be able to do a lot of damage here to these units. Those Charged Zealots are a little bit dangerous, but not quite enough. And with these Banshees, he's going to actually be able to take out everything that's going on over here, and he's going to push straight into this base. I don't think he's going to have enough time to do much damage, though. We can see Socke moving across the map right now with the bulk of his army. He's going to be able to do a little bit of damage. Now, moving on in, he also had that drop at the same time, and this harassment is just unbelievable for the Little One. But here we go, finally, main force pushing on in from the middle of the map and going to be mopping up everything the Little One has. Little One stimming up and pulling back to try to do as much damage as possible before he loses these guys, which he knows is going to happen. It's just kind of a matter of time. Look at this, spotting this Expo over here, though. Going to be moving down with these Marauders and Marines. Unfortunately, DT being warped in. There we go, scan going down. Going to allow him to deal with those DT. He doesn't have quite enough units, unfortunately, to deal with this. I guess it doesn't really matter, though, because Socke really wasn't even mining from over here. We can see the Little One has gone up this Expo, going to be changing that into a planetary fortress as well. Let's take a quick look at the Iron Tab, see what's going on. Socke does have an advantage right now, but even with that advantage, this harassment has been so unbelievable. One thing I will say, though, is the Little One hasn't really, he doesn't have a lot of mining going on, but I guess the same is pretty much the case here for Socke as well. Socke going to be able to take this out. Does he have the Observer? Yes, he does, so he's going to be able to deal with these Cloaked Banshees. Banshees do want to push back. Going to try to drop down that Colossus. Yes, just barely gets that down. Very nice there. So let's take a look at mining bases. What do we got going on? Socke, this is his only mining base right now. He's got some remote mining going down from over here. He can't actually even afford to put up another Expo, so this is all he's relying on right now besides this Expo. We do have the Little One with this one over here. It's actually overly saturated, but that is pretty much okay at this point in the game. Planetary Fortress is going to help him defend that quite a bit. He's got a little bit of mining going on over here, but not much at all. Again, he can't really even afford to get an Expo up as well. And actually, this is a very big moment right now. Socke's going to be pushing down to try to take this out. We do want to see those mass repairs. Is he going to buy himself enough time? I don't think so. There's just so much damage. This is getting dropped. Look at all of those storms just tearing through those SCVs. But that push coming from the top side, going to be sniping down those Colossus, sniping down these units as well. Charged Zealots moving in with those force fields and actually mopping up all of the bio of the Little One, and the Little One calling good game. Unbelievable matchup between these two players. This is very exciting. I would say this game even rivals the hour-long game that I casted prior to this. But man, unbelievable, the Little One keeping up that constant harassment. Unfortunately, we were seeing just some excellent defense from Socke whenever he could manage to do so. And that one big battle at the end, there were just so many Charged Zealots. The bio of the Little One with the Charged Zealots plus whatever Colossus were there, he just couldn't handle that. Those force fields blocking off your bio from running away, and then those charged zealots just running and punching you straight in the face. It's just a little bit too daunting for a bio army to handle. You can't really micro away from something like that. So there you have it, guys. Great game. This was game number 2 in the series between these two players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Remember, as always, if you like the content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Game number 3 is going to be coming in just one moment. And as always, guys, keep watching and keep owning.